Good afternoon. And welcome to everyone who is joining us on the internet as well. Just a little reminder. Some of you came here today from California, and some of you came from Oregon, and some of you came from British Columbia, and you came to Kingston, Washington. And maybe some of you have pictured it as coming from one part of planet Earth to another part of planet Earth, to be with someone who's in touch with someone else who's in the kingdom of heaven. Well, you know what? Almost every one of you passed by me on your way here because, as I've said before, the only thing that can possibly be confronting you is the kingdom of heaven. There isn't anything else available for you to experience. But in your minds you say, well, I live in Los Angeles, or I live in Portland, or I live here, or I live there, I live in the desert, I live in the forest. But if when you say that, you don't remember that however you describe the place you live, it is reality with a capital R confronting you. It is the kingdom of heaven. You will neglect to give the right kind of attention to the experience you're having. When things get tough, you may say, God, what's the truth here? But I want you to begin to have a conscientious practice while you're in smoggy Los Angeles, while you're on the crowded freeway, wherever you are, to ask the question, what's the divine truth here? In other words, what is the capital R reality that's going on, that has to be going on, in order for me to have a misperception? If you listen to the news, it seems like a pretty risky, dangerous, unstable place you live. Well, I'm going to give you a phrase I want you to start using. Tain't so. Tain't so. Say that so that you will be reminded to be curious about what is divinely going on here. Period. The reason you see instability, the reason you see threat, the reason you see danger is because no one is being curious to see what's really going on, divinely speaking, and they're accepting the definition they are giving to the world they're seeing, or they're accepting the definition that others who are ignorant of the divinity of things are giving to their life and trying to impose on everyone else. You see, the temptation is to say, well, things are so tenuous and so potentially volatile and dangerous that I need to attend to my safety rather than being curious to see the kingdom of heaven. It sounds ridiculous to do something so irrational in the face of what the majority of everyone is doing. So I'm encouraging you to be more conscientious in the way you give attention to your day and the events in the day and the people you encounter in your day. Because it doesn't matter what the individual's name is, that one is the Christ. And you are the Christ. And your Christhood lies in a place of excellence that is right in the middle of each one of you, which you tend not to connect with because you're so busy defending yourself against the threats in your life and in your world. But you know what? You're not going to have a transformed vision or experience of your world until you abandon the self-protection you're engaged in and you go to that place of excellence in you, knowing that from there you're going to have a different point of view. You're going to be looking at everything differently, and then dare to go ahead and look at everything differently. It's not going to change until you start doing this. And I'll tell you, you're way past the time of saying, I'll let them do it first. I don't need to do it. They need to do it in the Middle East. I don't need to do it. They need to do it in Korea. I don't need to do it. They need to do it in Washington. Well, just remember that when you do that, you're saying, I'd rather be tense. I'd rather be experiencing fear. I'd rather be engaged in self-protection. I'd rather continue to be comfortably miserable than change the way I'm approaching everything. You've got to dare to go ahead and be the one that pushes or is the first domino falling. Because that's the way the rest of them begin, by chain reaction. When you're here with me, or when you're with me in the withinness of yourself, you will find that our camaraderie, our communion, will always be directed toward the changes you need to make in order to manage to free yourself from your fixation on how you think things are. Because you're in the middle of the kingdom of heaven, you're in the middle of reality. Perfect, flawless, harmonious, beautiful. Unconflicted being. You're in that. It is you right now. And not to be experiencing it is ridiculous. Now, if you didn't know this, it would be understandable that you would just flow with the status quo. But for any of you who have been listening to me for a while, you know different. And there's just no reason for further delay or further laziness. Because even if you're experiencing a comfortable misery, it's not your birthright. And besides, it's like all of us who are awake are hollering at you, and you have yourself sitting in a little tiny closet inside your Father's mansion. And we're all saying, come on out and play, come on out and play. And you say, I'm busy, I'm busy, I'm busy. I've got to keep defending myself because everything is so terrible. And you've been doing this maybe for lifetimes. And you don't realize that the fact that you're hearing a voice that says, come on out and play, come join us in reality, come join us in unwalled, unblocked in fullness. The fact that you're hearing that voice is demonstrating to you that there is another place beside your closet. You don't realize that that's a miracle. You don't realize that hearing this voice saying, join me, come on out, is the second coming. Oh, well, if it was the second coming, that would get your attention. And I'm telling you, this is the second coming. It's the second coming out. It's the second coming out party. I had mine, now it's your turn. Something immeasurably significant is happening when I say, join me, reach out to me. Don't keep yourself locked in to your sense of tininess. Because I am here, and all of the brotherhood who is awake is here with you. And because you're hearing my voice, because you're hearing my intent to connect with you, you have significantly abandoned your commitment to being ignorant. The fact that you are hearing me is earth-shaking. Something stupendous is occurring in the fact that you are hearing my voice, that you are hearing my intent to love you and embrace you, and that I am inviting you to join me consciously. Because in reaching out to me, you're reaching out of the closet into territory that's always been present and available to you to experience. You've always thought that this would happen after you die, or somewhere off in the future. But your closet has been right in the middle of the kingdom of heaven all along. In the present, in every moment of conscious experience you're having. You're having this moment of conscious experience in the middle of reality as an individuality who is real, divinely real, my equal, my brother, my sister. So you've been being in the kingdom of heaven for God knows how long, saying, I'm not in the middle of the kingdom of heaven. I'm not the Christ. I'm not the direct expression of God. I'm not the presence of God expressing himself. I am what I think I am. I think I'm just a hunk of matter, a hunk of meat, with a piece of meat in my skull that somehow thinks. And the mind in that piece of meat in my skull is called an ego. And this ego that I am lives on a huge hunk of matter floating in physical space. And because I'm a descendant of the animals, I'm basically ferocious, and I basically survive at the expense of everything else. And that's the way it's always been, and that's the way it always will be. And that very finite, uncomplimentary definition of yourself and life is all that constitutes the closet that you're sitting inside of. Right in the middle of the kingdom of heaven. So, I've said this before, but it needs to be said again. You are all the direct expression of God at this very instant. You are the Christ at this very instant, my equal, my brother, my sister. Refusing to accept that as the truth and remaining committed with all your might to a different interpretation of things. Your interpretation. The one you get a whole lot of satisfaction out of having created for yourself, instead of just accepting God's truth, the divine truth about yourself. And so you are missing out on so much you couldn't believe it. And the way you get out of this closet is not by battling the demons in your mind that fill your closet, that you have filled your closet with, but by abandoning the self-protection against your foes and enemies and the threats in your perceived world, and opening the door to the closet and coming out and playing with the rest of us in the middle of the kingdom of heaven, consciously experiencing reality for what it truly is. So I don't care where you think you live. I don't care how you have defined it in your mind. It's all the kingdom of heaven. It's all the ultimate. And I mean that in what you would consider to be the most wonderful terms. The most divine terms that you could imagine. The most blissful terms that you could imagine. And at the same time, the most grounded, real terms, where everything is even more real than you think it is at the moment as you define it as matter. So being awake is not going to be an ethereal, substanceless, wispy, pink cloud experience. It will be more meaningful. But you're going to have to consciously and conscientiously be willing to look at every ugly, fearful thing that you see going on and say to God, or say to me, say to your guide who is awake, how does this look outside the closet that I'm in? How does this look outside of the definitions I'm giving to it? You're going to have to talk to someone who's not in your closet to find out. And there's an abundance of those who are awake that will be glad to connect with you from outside your closet. So again, the word curiosity is one of the major words you need to let abide in your awareness so that you remember to bring it into play every day. Who is this one that's giving me a hard time when he's looked at from outside the closet of my particular definitions and my particular history with him or with her? Because that one is not who you think she is, and she isn't who she thinks she is. She's who and what God is being right now. And what God is being right there, where she is or where he is the only real thing going on. And it's available for you to experience, but you will not experience it as long as you want to harbor your hurt feelings or your hard feelings or your sense of justice or injustice associated with that person. Now, I'm not saying anything new, but it's so easy for you to get distracted by, you leave here and you go back home into the rat race, into the all of your old habits, and you're confronted by the person who you were having trouble with before you came to the gathering, and it's real easy to slip back into what? Not a bad situation, but back into the definitions you were giving to it before you came to the gathering. What is determining the way you're seeing the kingdom of heaven are your habits, your commitments to your way of seeing things and defining things. And that's all. It's that simple. That's the only wall there is to this closet, is how you have decided, how you have determined what this part of the kingdom of heaven is through the use of your own imagination, rather than an honest inquiry and an honest curiosity to see what it might divinely be, what he or she might divinely be. I'm everywhere, so you're going to pass by me all the time. Why? Because I'm right here with you in the middle of the kingdom of heaven, except I know it's the kingdom of heaven while you're still saying it's not. And so you don't see me. all that God is, all that God is, in all of His glory, if I may put it this way, is right in front of you and in you, and is what is being your presence at this moment. And so I will keep reminding you of this over and over and over, so that your curiosity might endure a little longer than 30 minutes or 2 hours after you leave a gathering where you've been refreshed about it. So let's look at it this way. Instead of your questions being of the sort that say, how do I deal with this so-and-so? Or how do I deal with that so-and-so? Or how do I deal with this situation or that situation? Understand that the real question needs to be, how do I get past the definitions I have given to this situation? How do I get past the definitions I've given to so-and-so? Because it's your definitions that are making you upset about so-and-so. And it's your definitions that keep you from recognizing that just as there is a place of excellence in you, there is a place of excellence in that so-and-so. Because if you will remember that there is a place of excellence in that so-and-so, and you're coming from the place of excellence in you, you will direct your words and ideas to that place of excellence. And what comes out of your mouth will not be reactive or critical. It will come out of your mouth and it will expect that place of excellence to be able to hear the truth and the love that you're expressing. You will acknowledge a place of excellence, and it will begin to elicit from that person responses from that place of excellence rather than defense. But boy, if you come from your definitions, you will arouse defense in that other one. You just don't have to stay stuck in this dream any longer. But it depends on where you want to place your commitment. If you want to place your commitment in the definitions that create walls around you and place you in a closet in the middle of the kingdom of heaven so that you can't see the kingdom of heaven and all you're confronted with are your own definitions of everything, if you want to do that, that is what you will be stuck with. While the kingdom of heaven continues in its fullness and glory, while reality unfolds awesomely. Do you see that there simply is no justification, really, for you all to continue to be so sure you know what everything is? And then worry about it, and fret about it, and get angry about it.